Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of your favorite paranormal podcast. I know I'm probably lying about that, but I try. It's Paranormal New Normal back again. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, here trying to make the world seem a little more normal. Never really happens, but we try, and we see what happens. But as always, I have an amazing guest to talk to about the better side of life. And my guest today is Csongor Daniel. I don't know why I have a natural accent when I do that. I don't know why, but uh, Csongor is a energy healer, author, and a whole lot more. But as always, we'll get into all that in a little bit. First things first, how you doing tonight, sir?
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I was actually very curious to have you on, so I'm trying to hear more about your studies and your life. So, let's get into it. But the first question I ask everybody on this show is, what made you get to this point in life? What brought you down the paranormal slash spiritual path?
Can anybody answer that fast?
I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's usually a good opening question.
it's a tough one. I don't know. I was always interested in stuff like that, even as a kid. About the pyramids and about the mysteries to me at the time. And although I never really pursued it much, it was mostly reading, Deniken and stuff like that. And eventually, I went to study engineering, which is, the facts. I liked the logic, and it was very, very important to me. However, fast I was halfway through college when I met with energy healing. First through my dad's friend, and I learned that my whole life I was feeling this energy. I just didn't know what it was. And eventually, it led to other things. After an incident where I moved my mom without touching her, it totally changed everything and put me on this path. And eventually, I learned how to stop everybody's pain and how to induce healing. And eventually, I met with one of the greatest healers of our time, a gentleman named Stenko Domancic, who lives in Croatia still. He has healed over 1.5 million people so far with a very similar method. Um,
Which I saw that in your site. That is an impressive stat right there. That's an impressive stat. So, geez.
you figure after 100,000, you kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. And so he systematized these moves and developed a really nice method to which I added some of my own that I gained through experience through many years. And so I teach basically anyone how to feel the energy, how to see the energy, how to manipulate that energy in order to stop pain or induce healing. It's really not a big thing. It's just something that they don't teach you in school. Otherwise, anybody can do it, just like math or riding the bicycle or such.
I mean, I know some people who can't ride bicycles. I know some people who can't do math. So,
There are
I.
exceptions here too, I guess. But let's say most people can do it. Most people will not, play basketball like Michael Jordan, but there are a lot of good basketball players out there, and technically anybody can do it. So it's after years of doing it and years of teaching Tai Chi, Qigong, teaching the art of bioenergy healing itself. It just dawned on me after a while that, gee, maybe I'm really not that special. Everybody else can do this. And so I put more energy into teaching it than, well, I guess I'm 50-50. I still do a lot of work. I do a lot of long distance healing right here and from my chair. And that also I can explain through scientific means, through quantum physics, how it works. So it takes the mystery out of it. That's true, but it works nevertheless. I have a lot of happy customers. It-
Well, couple questions out of that actually.
yes.
But first things first. Nicole, hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Always appreciated. And hey, Shin, glad to see you back again. But it's actually funny because I was the same way when I was younger. I got into the paranormal stuff. I read books about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, all these types of things, and watched documentaries on energy healing and people that could shoot electricity out of their hands and people that had magnetic issues,
Hmm.
or not issues, but they had like a magneto type power almost to attract things magnetically.
Right, right.
Stan Lee's Marvels, like that was an interesting documentary. But I mean, I grew up loving other stuff too. But then I went to biology. I went to science. I wanted to know the facts. I wanted to know real things. I kind of got out of the paranormal a little bit, and it took years for me to get back into it. And that's why I was.
Even sorry to interrupt. I think even
Of course.
paranormal is everything is based on facts. And when we call something paranormal or metaphysical or whatnot, we just don't know how to explain it. We don't have the science yet. It doesn't mean that it's not there, or it doesn't exist, or you know it creates any issues to us. We
Exactly. I mean,
we don't know how to measure it. That's about it.
yeah, I have a feeling we're gonna be doing that a lot tonight. But yeah, I mean, it's basically what the paranormal is. It's just unexplained science. I mean, we didn't know gorillas were a real thing until we found one and captured it and studied it, and then we're like, oh, these Africans are right. This is a real creature. But
Right, right.
and actually, Shannon, I like this comment, so I'm going to show it. Shannon says, "I feel like you devalue your gifts. People can do these things, but not on your scale." Which I was going to say actually, like yes, it may be something everybody can do, but not everybody is going to master it. That's the difference.
True. Someone else put it this way. He says anybody can become a pilot, but not everybody's a pilot. It's also a good analogy. However, I believe that if we taught at least the simple things to kids in school, we would be much better off.
Oh,
Uh,
I
my
100%
daughter
agree.
was 2 years old when she came and mimicked my moves as I was working on Grandpa. I was working on his knees, and she came over and started doing the same things on the other knee. And after a little bit of laughter because it was cute, we realized that it was working. Grandpa turned serious. Like, wait a second, I can feel it. And eventually, both knees stopped hurting. For her, it was a natural thing. That's what she saw from the beginning. Now, if every child did that, that they would also see this in their lives later on. And it's quite easy to live without painkillers and such.
Yes, I have children, so I know about the whole mimic the whole monkey see monkey do thing they do when they're younger. My daughter had a thing when she was eating when she was younger because I used to do this when I got done eating. I would sit there like just stroking my beard, and after a while you see her over there doing the same thing, like in almost in a mocking fashion, basically. But
Right.
I of course just had a good laugh about it. But I mean, children they do what they
I
see. I
mean, in
mean,
in in our case, we I have two daughters, and when somebody would get hurt or such, we learn how to you grab that pain and you throw it away. And we have some natural things that we do. When you hit your elbow, what do? You kind of rub it, right? It spreads that pain somehow. Now you worked on the nerve endings there, but also you spread this energy that came suddenly here from that hit, from the pain. Whenever you have a headache, it's just excess energy around your head, and that's what we learn how to do it easily.
I mean, I never actually thought about it that way, but yeah, like when you hit your funny bone against the wall or something by accident, like you do rub it, like, and it does make the pain go
Yes,
away.
or you hit your knee or something, and of course with kids you kiss the spot, so there's the psychological effect, but also the kiss. There's a connection between you two and spreads the energy. So it's if you look at everything from a quantum physical point of view, then everything makes sense. Everything vibrates. right now, thousands of different vibrations are going through us, which thankfully we don't feel. Otherwise, we'd pick up radio stations at this moment, the hundreds of them that reach us and such. But we're also connected in many ways. And
Exactly.
yes.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's and yeah, it's funny. 'Cause I'm thinking about it too as you're saying it. I'm like, I do that to my kids too. Like if they stub their toe or something, like I rub their foot for a second to like and it makes the pain go away.
Right,
Like it's
right.
just like
It's
you almost
just the natural, you naturally feel that energy. Kids do better because, it's a natural thing, but then we teach them how to touch things, how to feel things, how to see them, how to perceive it in our way. And there's so much beyond what we see. Just like your dog will not see the rainbow. You could be telling him about the rainbow all day long. He can't see it, you know. It's a frequency. So we have other frequencies that we don't pick up. From all the frequencies in the universe, we pick up only this much. And we judge everything based on that. It's a very tiny knowledge.
which actually, ooh, good follow-up question to that actually in a second. But Shannon does say that she also has taught her boys, and you might not, you wouldn't know, but Shannon is a psychic medium. She's a regular watcher of my shows,
Hmm.
but and her oldest apparently channeled aliens, which was interesting. And I mean, Shannon, I fully believe it. I've had enough people on this show that channel aliens on the regular, so I fully
I,
believe
I
it.
I remembered hearing noises when I was a kid. I didn't see things, but noises, and others didn't hear it. It was and weird noises. And then, but as an adult, you learn, you I don't know, you educate yourself, and by the time you see your third UFO, it's not a big thing anymore, right? or or you have such an experience that's supposed to be so supernatural, and to you it comes natural.
Exactly. I mean, it's okay. Well, actually, Shannon has a good question, and I like it. So, but she wants to know what kind of sounds you heard.
I mean, like creaking sounds and such, and we were in a brick house, and it was creaking like wood, like being in a cabin or so. Um,
That's interesting,
but
actually.
nothing. I mean, I never deciphered any of them. It was just something that uh, noises made at night or such.
Which I mean, you said you believe that I mean, well, you don't believe we know we only use like this much of the energy around us and what we can sense.
And what we sense, yes, and we
I
use very
mean,
little of our brain coupled with that.
that that was actually what I was going to say is I kind of think that it has to be related to like the huge portion of our brain. I forget the percentage, but we only use I think like 10% of our brain or less.
Yeah,
So
just about. And then you have a drink here and there and destroy more of it. So we're doomed.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
There are
well,
things that develop over time in your brain. The more you do this energy healing, for instance, the easier you feel it, the easier you see it. Other things slowly come through different frequencies. You feel in person, you feel more temperature changes, heat, tingling, coolness or magnetic feelings. And really, the more you do it, the more this feeling develops in you and becomes part of you. And eventually, at long distance healing, when you need to see things, then you see those things again based on the energy itself. It just takes practice,
like everything in this world, it takes practice. I mean,
pretty
I
much.
sure
Yeah.
saw. I sure saw it wasn't a good podcast in my first 20 episodes. Don't get me wrong. So, I mean, it takes practice. Everything takes practice in this world. And it's funny you say that because like the temperature change thing made me like kind of laugh for a second because I'm like I live in a haunted house. I get temperature changes all the freaking time. It gets colder and I don't and I know why, but it gets like all of a sudden like colder. The room will get ice cold for a few minutes. And it's just like, hey Raleigh, what you doing, buddy? You chilling over there in the corner or something? Like it's I got what people like to call watchers in my house, like just spirits that like to watch us. They're not poltergeists of any kind. They don't really do anything to disrupt our lives, but they just kind of chill and watch.
I mean,
But
if you ever have a chance to go to Egypt and visit some of those temples, um, that's where you get a lot of these freaky experiences, a lot of vibration that is just not normal. That
oh, I mean, I can imagine. I can imagine. I mean, trust me, Egypt's been on my bucket list for decades now. But it's just such an ancient, mystical place. I mean, the pyramids themselves are hypothesized to be basically channeling mechanisms for energy from
Yeah, it's definitely
either.
not what's in the school books. I mean,
Oh,
inside when you're in it, it can't be what they claim it is. So we still don't know much about it. I mean,
and
if you think about it, in the time of Cleopatra, they were already visiting the pyramids as a tourist attraction. They were already ruins for a couple of thousand years.
exactly. I mean,
Uh,
it's ancient stuff. And Shannon, I don't know which one was you referring to. I could tell you attract spirits. Your energy is crazy. I don't know if you're referring to me talking about myself or if you're talking about Chongor here. I don't know, but either way, it's all good. I mean, yeah. I mean, Egypt is. I mean, personally, I believe that Egypt has to do with extraterrestrials in some way or form. It kind of has to. It kind of has to. I mean, it's just so ancient, and there's so many signs and synchronicities that line up with Egypt. That's just, I mean, in those pyramids, I don't believe that slaves built those pyramids. I can't. It seems
and how many more
humanly.
pyramids are there around the world that are uncovered? Even in Egypt, they admit that they barely uncovered a small percentage of everything. So
Oh yeah, I
there's no
mean,
idea. They talk about giant pyramids in Bosnia. There's some in Serbia, um, South
South America
Pole,
too. Yeah,
and yes, and South America, of course.
yeah.
So
I mean, all the ancient civilizations really, that at least the ones that didn't get destroyed. I mean, the Aztecs, the Mayans. There's even some that I believe there's one or two in the American Southwest somewhere that natives created, supposedly. But
right.
uh, I mean, there's pyramid structures everywhere on Earth, and they have to be some kind of conduit. I can't picture why else would you build these things? Like you're not going to build this huge thing as a graveyard? Like really?
Right.
You can't build a little hut and put the body in there? Like what? Like it just seems like way too elaborate to be a ceremonial like tomb. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I never really thought about it till now, even, but that just seems so ridiculously elaborate that I don't think they would do it.
And the whatever vibration is there is really still to me out of this world. There was a statue that we touched um, in Luxor. It was in a closed room. We had some access to places where tourists didn't go, and it was the statue of Sekhmet, and it was life sized. And we stepped there to take a picture. And when I touched it, it moved, and I saw the other person like, "Hey, don't push the statue," you know. So what do you mean? You can't push it. This is in solid granite, you know. The whole thing vibrated like this, as if it was moving. Nobody can explain it.
And I mean, for a second there, I'd be like, "What are we in Harry Potter?" But um, it's just that's crazy. But
With a 2,500-year-old sycamore tree outside that same door. I
I,
mean, it was just mystery after mystery every day.
I mean, and Shannon says she's obsessed with Malta, that she feels like there's something there, which, given her abilities, and I don't doubt it. Malta, I've heard things about Malta, so I mean, I could believe it, Shannon. And good question, though. What do you think about the monolithic monuments appearing all over the world, like the one in the hell is
Oh,
it?
the
Was it
shiny
Georgia? Yeah,
ones that just appeared out of nowhere.
like the one in, like yeah, like the Georgia one that got destroyed. But
Oh, well, the Georgia, that was different. That I mean, somebody built that one. I actually was on a motorcycle tour with a friend, and we stopped by to check it out. It
Oh, nice.
wasn't too easy to find. It was interesting, out of nowhere, and talks about the civilization after we have to rebuild it, I guess, after we destroy it. I just remember the first few lines where there should be only 500 million people on the on the planet, not more, and
Mm,
uh, one language, one government, whatnot. In essence, it was, I
I
believe, in
mean,
eight languages, all the same thing written out.
honestly, if someone did create that, I'm kind of impressed because to do all that work to write these things in like 8 different languages, and but it's weird because I can see some of those details happening eventually. Eventually, I think we will be one, just one Earth, one language. Will be one people. Like
I
eventually, I
mean,
could see.
how do we get together? That's the question. I mean, do we need like an alien invasion, like in the movies, So then the color doesn't matter anymore because that one has scales and we don't, or whatnot. This
I mean,
it's right now we don't live in a friendly, loving environment, right? I mean,
no,
not to
we don't.
mention about, let's not talk about, the shootings and wars and whatnot, but just the regular things. You read the labels on the foods that you buy, and it was created by humans, to feed other humans, but it's not food.
I mean,
Do you understand what
I,
I mean?
oh, I 100% understand what you mean. There's a reason there's recalls and pretty much everything at some point in the year, but it's just yeah, we don't live in a we don't live in a good world. That's 100% true. We live in a pretty freaking horrible world most of the time.
I mean, we could,
There's
we
good mo
could, we could all live good. Everybody could be fed. Everybody could have medical. Everybody could be schooled and such. But what are the ideals? What are we going for? And
and
so,
that's the
we need
problem.
to get a little bit deeper inside and discover that love again and discover that connectivity. And instead, we're going the opposite direction. Take a little pandemic. Everybody loves to stay home and not socialize anymore. And we were social beings. We want to be together. We want to be hugged. We want to be kissed. We want to interact with each other, and that's where the positive energy grows in you. Every time you're scared or you have negative thoughts, your entire energy field closes in. When you're happy, healthy, your energy field opens up. It's much bigger. Otherwise, just while anybody's listening, your energy field goes roughly as far as you can reach around you, and it connects everything in you, mind, body, spirit, and such. It flows up in the front, goes down in the back. Whenever there's an obstacle in that flow, that's when problems happen. So in bioenergy healing, we discover those areas that are out of balance or stuck or such, and by adding energy or taking off or moving it, we restart that flow, giving the body back its natural environment where it can heal itself. So I don't really heal anybody. I just fix the energy and let the body do itself.
Well, yeah, same as a same as a farmer in a way. You work with what's there and you create something out of it. Which,
Right.
it's yeah, farmers need a little more stuff to work with, but they have to find the other stuff to work with. But Shan's asking, besides the Georgia Guidestones, which she feels like have been made by the elites, I could see that Illuminati exists. But uh, so what do you think the other actual non-Georgia Guidestones monolithics are? Like, why are they here? Like the ones that have been showing up. I believe there's, I want to say one in Sweden or Finland. I heard about one in South America that popped up.
I don't know. It's the same with the crop circles. I mean, it is, somebody should learn to read them. you know, if it's otherworldly, if local
If
artists are creating, nice work. What can I say?
Exactly. I mean, crop circles have become
I can't really tell you much about these things because I haven't studied them and I haven't had any personal experiences.
well. I mean, yeah, crop circles are one thing because I mean, there's been so many videos of people like making them themselves and explaining how they did it. I like that shit. Crop circles are alien gang signs. I freaking love it. So I love it.
I mean, I've
But
been to places where I felt the energy. I mean, I deal with energy basically, and I'm sensitive to it. So besides the Egyptian places, there are some temples where you can feel the energy. There are also natural places, locations where you can feel it. You probably heard about the vortices in Sedona. Yeah, you can feel them. You can feel other locations that are not that well known. I've been to a church in Romania that's in a cave, and there's a spot in the middle where you just can't miss it. Even my students felt the energy there. There's a place. I mean, it not, doesn't necessarily have to be good stuff. There was a place in Serbia on a mountain where it was a well-known. They called it a magnetic place, and you walk through the woods, and there's a spot where you're actually walking through this invisible wall. And as I entered this whole area, I just had a mild headache the entire time. When we left, the same thing as if you went through an invisible exit and the headache stopped. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. I know I felt it.
interesting. It kind of makes me wonder what the I don't know the actual name of it, but the Japanese suicide forest. I wonder what that would feel like if you actually went into it. That
I heard
probably.
about it. Yes, I don't know. Not eager
I
to
mean,
check it out.
no.
Anything with names of suicide and such.
If I was able to read energy as much as you, I wouldn't be a little skeptical about wanting to go there as well. I mean, it's Japan, another place on my bucket list. Listeners, if you ever want to fund any of my trips, please let me know. But I mean, I will broadcast from these places. But Japan, I mean, I don't know that forest is just every documentary I've heard on it, every podcast I've heard talk about it, it just seems like that forest just draws darkness in, and it's just creepy. I mean, it's got to have some bad energy going on there, some really bad energy. But I don't know. I wish I knew what happened in ancient times to make it like that. I mean, hell, one could say it's almost. It might. I mean, there probably is a Japanese mythology story that tells the story of it. I would imagine, but they have a lot of
Everything starts with something. Every story
exactly.
starts with some kind of a fact or idea.
I feel like that maybe is where one of the Japanese gods fell to earth or something. I've heard a lot about. I mean, I've listened to a lot of Japanese mythology podcasting, and it's just there's a lot of it. I can't even remember most of it because there's just so many elements of it. But and you might be right, Shan. Maybe there is a portal there. I mean, it's 100% possible. And there, because I mean, well, actually, what do you think about like, do you believe there are portals to other dimensions just kind of laying open on Earth, or
Again, I go to quantum physics for answer,
ooh,
and it's possible. Why not? Again, this is something that we haven't explained perfectly, but in theory, why not? Even Einstein theorized about it 100 years ago.
exactly. I mean, I wouldn't be, yeah, I it wouldn't surprise me honestly. I mean, he he was a brilliant man who was way ahead of his time, so 100%.
And whatever Tesla was doing, again, we have no clue. So
Oh yeah,
we're
I
behind a little bit.
I've actually done an episode about scalar light or scholar light, however the heck you say it. Um,
Killer lights.
eh, yeah, and scalar light. I mean, I interviewed a guy who deals with it a lot and actually uses it as a way to heal people through pictures, which I mean, we talked a lot about Tesla on that episode, so I'm not going to dive into Tesla on this one. But I mean, we talked a lot about Tesla on that episode and how he was shut down for a reason, and it might have been because he was trying to give free energy to the world. Not exactly because
That's the theory. I mean, he would have destroyed the world economy then. already back then.
Uh, yeah, he
Free
kind.
energy, or even just wireless energy transfer.
I feel like I feel like if it came back around nowadays, if somebody figured it out nowadays, which this person's trying to do that, but he doesn't have the power Tesla did. But I mean, if I mean, I feel like if someone did it nowadays, like it might be something the world might accept almost to a point because these
I
people
don't
that
know.
make money.
Imagine a shoebox-sized device that would power your whole house and cost you nothing.
I
That was
mean,
the idea. You buy it once, and then what? There's no money in it.
yeah, I mean, I get the concept behind it. I just feel like I don't know, the way the world's going with everybody being broke and everything costing more, I feel like that's a sacrifice the world might make. I mean, the world might just be willing to make that sacrifice. People who make money off this can find another industry to make money off of because if you're good at making money, you could do it anywhere. But it's only if you're good at making money. I mean, you can't
I
rely on something. You
mean,
got
the world certainly needs us as much as we need the world, this planet, and the way we're doing it is not good. So definitely we need to look for some new directions in everything, in all of the whole thinking, I guess.
yeah. I mean, it's like we were talking about with the apocalyptic thing with the guy stones. I mean, you said like would it take an alien invasion, and that's kind of one of my theory is either it would take an alien invasion for us to fully unite, or some kind of apocalyptic thing. That's what it would take.
Right,
Sadly, I mean,
right.
the world we're never going to unite just out of the good of our hearts because our hearts ain't the goodest anymore. That's the problem. I mean, a lot of us, yeah, a lot of us have great hearts, but we're individuals. We're not a society as a whole. That's the problem. I mean, there's
Yeah,
so
but
many
you
out there.
see, individually, we can all be geniuses. How to turn the whole to be a genius. That think back 4 years ago, when the pandemic started, everybody had to stay home, right? First, it was a panic. What am I gonna do, right? Everybody was stuck where they were,
Yep,
and then about a week into it, or 2 weeks or so, the water in Venice cleared up, which
yep.
they haven't seen the bottom forever. The air cleaned up in many places. In cities, there was no car traffic. We looked up, there were no airplanes. Why don't we do that every year? Take off a week or two, everybody stay home, let the air clean, go plant some trees and such. Something positive, something for us.
I mean, 2 weeks off work paid, I'll gladly take. But gladly, don't get me wrong, gladly. But I mean, it would be great. I mean, I think it would be an amazing thing if the world just took like, just the whole world, just take
Or,
two
or
weeks off.
even a week off, just without
Mm,
any air pollution
You,
or so.
you, you said 2 weeks. Let's make it 2 weeks.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, but non-paid,
but
non-paid, you got to sacrifice for the planet, for your
uh,
children.
I mean, if my mortgage if my mortgage company's willing to sacrifice too and take a month without payment, then sure.
If
But
if it's part of the world already, that as you are paying taxes, you would have to have that 2 weeks off and sit in your backyard or whatnot. That would be part of it.
yeah, I mean,
Taxes and that.
I'd be fine with it still, honestly. Unpaid even, I'd be fine with it. I mean, it's just
Or
it'd
maybe
be
you get a some kind of a tax break for every tree that you plant, or you would have to plant a tree every year or such. Again, it depends. If we do the math, how much paper we use up per person, and how much we take away from the environment, can we give that back?
I
But
mean,
I mean, we're talking globally now. For this goes for people, for everything. How do you connect with other people? Where's that magnet? When you smile at somebody, they usually smile back, right? So why not just walk around smiling all day and be nice to everybody?
yeah, I mean that's basic. And I mean, well, yeah, the tree thing. If everybody got a tax break for every tree they planted, my God, this whole planet would be nothing but trees falling on houses every year. But in like
We'll see.
I mean, in like 120 years when trees get big enough, but still, I mean, it would
Right.
just be madness. But
They
God,
changed the law by then or so. Who knows? I mean, this is just an idea I'm shooting,
oh, of course, yeah,
you know,
yeah. I,
there.
I, I had to poke fun at it a little, but and I mean, as far as paper use goes, I mean, I basically use no paper. I mean, I go to places that do use paper, but I personally don't use paper. I mean, everything is digital for me nowadays, so I haven't written in a notebook, written on a piece of paper. Okay, I do have a notebook at work, but I barely use it. And I mean, yeah, my paper use is basically down to nothing because I don't print things out anymore. I haven't I print out maybe a couple things a year, but it's just so yeah, I haven't killed any trees in a while. Yay me! But
Good, good.
I mean, it's just in this day and age, I mean, unless you work at places that require you to, there's just really not
It's
much
weird when
reason
the
to.
mailman goes by and left you nothing, right?
Eh, I mean, to me that means no bills, so I'm down for that. But no people saying you owe me money. But I mean, it's just, uh, yeah. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if that happened in a week or two, or even three every year, where, or hell, give us a whole month off. Where I mean, hell, give me January off because that's where all the snow and shit happens, and I'd love that off. I can't plant any trees that month, but I will do that in the summer. Don't worry. But I mean, it's just, it would be nice. I mean, it would be a change in the world, and it would really make the world a better place to live. It really just would. So
Just a suggestion.
I like the suggestion. I will freaking take it. But so
Uh, yes.
tell us, your your teacher. Where did you meet him? Like, how did you come across this man?
Well, um, when the incident happened with my mom, at the very beginning, when I was just learning about the energy, um, I was trying to pull the pain out of her back in my idea. But essentially, I was pulling her back without touching her. It went like this: Mom, what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? And we were going back and forth. As my hand went, my mom moved after. So um, we had no explanation for it. But the same night, I went out to the local pub and told my buddies what happened. And after good laughter, they said, "Well, try me." And then I moved one of my buddies, then the next one, and next, and by the end of the night, it was the whole pub was into it, betting in beer, who's going to move and who's not. That was literally the beginning of this brilliant career. Um, about a couple of weeks after that incident, my mom was yelling from the other room. She saw this guy on TV who was bending people just like that, pulling them and bending them over and whatnot. And we saw a report on TV about a small island on the Adriatic where my future teacher was located at. And they showed people like snaking through the streets, tiny streets, waiting in line to see him. And by the time I was able to get, now this was in the 80s,
Yeah.
no Google or anything. I got in touch with the hotel on the island, and by then he was gone, and they couldn't tell me where he left.
Hmm.
Another 2 weeks went by. I read an article about a professor in Belgrade who was measuring the energy fields of the body. In essence, they measure everything you can measure in the radio, amps, ohms, volts, and such. And I was able to get in last minute, went through the whole process. He pulled me over and said, "Look, you know, in my statistics, you were born to be a healer. You should do this for your occupation." Like, great, but nobody's teaching it. I'm studying engineering. I mean, nothing to do with this. There are no other schools or anything about this. Oh, I got the guy for you. And we drove outside of Belgrade, and in this hotel, he introduced me to Mr. Domanchis. the guy I was looking for. It's goosebumps every time.
Oh, I'm telling you,
It
synchronicities exist
Yes,
for a reason.
yes. So there are no coincidences. I don't believe in those. Everything has some reasoning, and
There's fate beyond everything. Fate exists for a reason, and
yes,
I don't believe in any white bearded man controlling it, but fate exists. I 100% believe it. So I mean, fate exists, and synchronicities
I,
exist for a reason as well.
I was working with him for a short time. Went back, opened my own, not even a clinic. I was doing a lot of house calls, going to villages, and worked on people. This was before I came to the States, back in 1991. And I remember an old lady. I was doing a group in this village, and we had coffee. We drink Turkish coffee there. And
Ooh, nice.
this lady was, look, you helped with my back. Now I'm gonna read you your future. I'm like, oh, great, it's an entertaining thing. Everybody does it. But she picked up that little, they're tiny little, I can't call them coffee mugs, little cups, and started talking and said, well, in a few months you're gonna go on a long trip over a big water, and you're not coming back. But tell your mother you'll be okay. Like a whole story. And in essence, 2 months later, I came to the States for a vacation, and then the war started in Yugoslavia, and I got stuck here. So never know who you should listen to, you know.
And you've been stuck here since?
Yeah, ever since, yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
okay,
I've
I'm
been
sure.
traveling. I go back all the time, but
I
uh,
was gonna say, like, I'm sure by now you can go back, but
yes, yes, yes. At the time, it was very risky and not desirable by
okay,
anyone.
no, no. I mean, there's a reason a lot of people come to this country, but I mean, it's just, but I mean, that's I love stories about synchronicity. I really freaking do. It's just it's one of the biggest topics about on this show for freaking all time. But so I gotta ask because we did talk about it a little bit. So I gotta ask, what is your belief on extraterrestrials? Like, do you think they were here before us? Do you believe they still come back and check on us? Like,
I
what
mean,
is your
our
theory?
our ego as humans is like so big. We're so tiny in this universe. I mean, not even close. 100 million stars just in the Milky Way. I mean, 100 billion stars in the Milky Way. I mean, it's incomprehensible to us how big this universe is. So definitely, there's life out there beyond, and definitely they were here before. Plenty of evidence everywhere. You can't
I
expect
mean,
computer data, but it's in stones and in rocks and is documented. Besides that, I have seen UFOs a few times. Uh, I can dispute quite a few of those, except for one. One, it could not have been anything else. It also happened in at that time Yugoslavia. It was could have been 91, 90 or 91. The first incident, I was walking out of my girlfriend's house, and I saw five lights flying by, and I said, "Look, look!" And by the time she looked up, they were gone. And I said, "Oh, those were definitely not airplanes." And she goes, "Yeah, right, whatever." Right? Short. Um, Maybe a week or two went by, not too long after that. We were coming back from town, walking on the street. It was midnight, beautiful. You could see every star. And as we both looked up, a boomerang went by, like a backward boomerang. It was the size of a passenger airplane, just the two wings, and it made no sound. And it was just the light, kind of like the phosphorescent stuff in your watch. A little bit of that greenish something. So it wasn't as bright as the stars, but you could see the whole outline. And it went by, maybe we could see it maybe 3, 4 seconds, which is a very long time. So it wasn't very fast. It was maybe 1,000 feet above us, if probably closer than that. So it was one of those that, well, I don't know what it was, but it definitely wasn't our thing. It wasn't an airplane or anything like it.
Which I mean makes sense. I mean, I
It's
I
enough
it's
to make
fun.
a believer out of me if I've never seen anything like it.
I mean, I get it because I mean, my only UFO. Well, okay, my only guaranteed UFO sightings. I swear to God, I can go outside my backyard any night of the week and see UFOs. They the area I live in is very famous for it because they like to mine the radon from our
Hmm.
mountains for people believe fuel. But I mean, I was at my then girlfriend, now wife's house at the time, and I was walking in from the backyard at like dusk with our two kids, and like we were going inside for the night. And my son looks up and he's like, "Why are those stars moving?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? Stars don't move." And I look up and I'm like, "Ew, okay, what's this now?" And literally 8 star-shaped objects moving in formation in one direction fast. I mean, you can't see stars move from the naked eye. So, I mean, it had to be something else. It couldn't have been a stars. I mean, it could have been a cluster of stars. There's no way. It had to
There's
be
plenty of evidence around the world in videos and movies, and even YouTube is full of them. So
100%. I mean, folks, go watch Skinwalker Ranch. You'll see plenty of UFO proof. But the stuff they got on camera is freaking incredible. I honestly, with that, I honestly don't know if it's government or not. But I mean, I speculate, but I'm not 100% sure either way. But great, great proof for something in the sky. It shouldn't be there. I'll put it that way. But so I got okay. So I like to ask healers a couple questions always, and the first question is, what what healing experience do you have that you would say is the most like memorable, whether it be the most miraculous or whether it just be the most touching to you?
I don't know. They're all dear. I mean, quite frankly, I some of my favorite ones were with animals. Horse that
Ooh,
horse that was given a few months to live because of a dropped rear heels. I forgot the exact term now. But it's a death sentence for a horse, and I see 6, 7 years later that horse is still running around. Um, when you go into a stable where you worked on a few horses, when you show up, they're all, waving, pick me, pick me. Yeah, they're extremely intelligent and they feel the energy well. But it goes with all animals and babies, and those are my favorites because there's no belief involved. It's pure energy healing. With adults, you can pretend, or you can show up like the Messiah or something, and already their belief system may do half your job. So, which is again fine, nothing wrong with it. But when you work on somebody who doesn't have your intelligence or your that explanation level, to feel it, it's pure energy.
which I love that. I mean, we on this show we love people who work with animals. I've had many animal mediums and just animal communicators on, and it's amazing. Always amazing topics. Always.
Otherwise, my favorites were, people who had a lady who had migraines for like 60 years, and we did one session and it stopped, and a few more sessions after that, um, and it never came back. But then I didn't see her for 10 more years. She was quite old by then, and finally, then her husband called me because she had some arthritic pain, and I said, "Well, how come you never came back?" "Well, the pain never came back." "Oh, great." Did you tell anybody? Oh no, nobody believes in this stuff.
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that's a and after you okay. This is kind of yeah. Daniel's horse energy, Shannon says. So I mean, that's strength. I mean, horse energy is strength. So yeah, okay, I'll go with it. But I mean, it's
And all
just
of that, I mean, don't get me wrong. I grew up in Yugoslavia. We had some horses on the streets and stuff. But my grandmother told me when I was little, do not go close to the horse. It will kick you. It will kill you. So I didn't get close to a horse till I was in my 30s, I think. So it's not like a horse whisperer type of thing. It's just, again, pure energy.
which is that's kind of comical because here I am in freaking like summer camp in elementary school riding horses. Like they didn't like I never would over here. We're never told like be scared of them. Like horses are creatures that humans are supposed to be like
No, my
near. I
dad
mean,
was a biker, so I'd hop on a motorcycle, no problem. I didn't have the idea that that would kill me, but
I
a
mean,
horse was a scary thing.
yeah, my dad was a Harley rider too, so I never actually drove a motorcycle. I've ridden bitch a lot of times, but I never actually been on a motorcycle. I actually rode a motorcycle myself, but I mean, so yeah, it's fun. It's fun when you're on the back. I can't imagine how it is in the front. I think I'd be terrified. But
It's
see,
to me it brings balance. I'm here half a day meditating and writing my reports about it, or whatever I do, everything is in a calm manner. So hopping on a bike and riding fast, it creates a balance.
makes sense actually. Makes a lot of freaking
And
sense.
working on a motorcycle, being a mechanical thing, it again a total difference from working on the soft tissue or people, and brings in the logical part. Everything is to exact measurements. Everything has to have a logical explanation.
Which it makes sense. I mean, you work on a motorcycle. If you dent something, it's not a big a deal. But I
Right.
mean, you work on some soft tissue, that could be a big thing. And yeah, really, Shannon, I swear to God, Shannon, I gotta get you on this damn show. I really do. But my intense energy is too much for animals unless they're feral. I know some humans I can introduce you to that are feral. I'm just saying. But if you want to work on them, that'd be freaking much appreciated. But I mean, so the other question I like to ask healers, and this is a good kind of final question before we end up for the night. What was there ever a time where you were almost either scared or terrified to do a healing?
um, I don't think I had such times. I mean, I've seen things and met with things that made no sense, and that I guess they were terrifying in a way. But I think that I don't know. I always had the positive approach to it, that I can do it. And
But
even when somebody was close to death, that terrified me at the beginning. Like, well, I can't do anything. I mean, everybody dies at the end. My teacher famously said, unfortunately, all my clients die at one point. So when you face something like that, then you have questions about what happens next. But each time there was some kind of a positive outcome, whether it was a long distance healing or one on one, or that person came back for a few hours as if nothing has happened, said goodbyes, and then departed. Um, I haven't had anything crazy, but whatever you would call demonic again can be explained through other dimensional beings and such. Again, we see very little of what's around us. What we would call a different dimension, it's not even a different dimension. It's just something that's around, but we don't sense it. Our frequencies don't coincide enough for us to see each other. Does that make sense?
it makes, yeah, 100% makes sense. I mean, which I mean that's a theory with like Bigfoot and other
I mean,
cryptids is that
in essence, right now we don't see thousands of bacteria around us, yet we coexist. But of course, this depends on size. There could be something that we don't see, just like the dog doesn't see the rainbow, and to us it doesn't appear, which may be a good thing actually.
which I mean it makes sense. It really does, and Shannon agrees with that. Uh, yeah, I'll throw it up. It does make sense. Shannon said, which I mean, but see, it's funny when you said you like come across some things that like give you a little jump at first. I was gonna ask you like, are you talking like demonic possession type situations? And it's funny that you just brought it up naturally without me having to ask even. And so you actually have dealt with
Well,
people that they thought that.
let's talk one case maybe. I mean, I
Sure.
don't want to drag it out too long. It was a little kid who um, he had about 100 seizures a day at the age like 1.5.
God, that's horrible.
And yes, and out of those, quite a few grand mal seizures, and just you can't do much about it. I I did a couple sessions on him, and right away they reduced to about a 50 a day. After the third one, there were no more grand mal incidents, but he still had about down to 30 incidents a day. And that's when I did a distance healing on him, where for distance healing, I have to go into deep meditation and visualize everything. When we're on one-on-one, I can work on you, feel it with my hand, watch TV if we have to. It's automatic. At long distance, it takes a lot of concentration. But there, I concentrate on the energy itself, and that was the first time that I saw one of these. I mean, I didn't know what to explain it, but now I know they're energy parasites. I call them that. I removed it with no problem. I can go back to what it was, but it was a big mystery. I removed it just like I would remove excess or negative energy, and everything was clear. That same night, the father called me up and he sent me a video from the baby monitor. The It clearly showed an orb flying around the child. Okay, and looking for places, but it was like an invisible barrier, like the spaceship Enterprise has, where it tried to get in, but it couldn't, and eventually you see it going away.
Interesting.
No explanation to it, but
I
going.
mean, it's been long hypothesized that demons, or what we call demons, are really just other dimensional beings that like to use our bodies for either sustenance or for
That's the Here's the
entertainment.
answer to it. Um, when the pandemic happened, right around that time, all of a sudden I started seeing more and more of these around more people. Then I realized that when you're stressing, of course your energy gets weaker and creates these cracks in it, cracks in your energy. Going back 20 some years, my teacher claimed that the root of all problems, all disease, is stress. And at that time, I was like, nah, I don't know. I mean, what about, bad diet, no exercise, whatnot, No, he said everything is. And now I see where stress came in as the weakening factor of your energy. So think of these creatures as what we talked about, not a different dimension. We just don't see them. It's just a different frequency. To them, this life, they don't see us. We see different things. Think of the bottom of the ocean that is cold and dark, and where there's a little warm stream coming out, there could be some bacteria and some fish, some life. So they come there. They sense that area is feeding them. Now think of these creatures as also being in the darkness, or such, different let's say light. And there's a crack in your energy which comes out just like that ocean floor. There's food, and then they just latch on you. Um, I mean, that's a rudimentary explanation here, but how two dimensions are meeting here, one finding food, and for us, it's draining our energy, making us weaker.
Makes sense, actually. And I mean, Shan says maybe negative needs a guest. Maybe that's why it was circling. It was searching for a guest with the baby incident. But I mean, or 1.5 year old, I guess, not baby really. But
Right.
I mean, it makes sense because I mean, there's definitely things we can't see, and these negative energies. I mean, and you said like, what about bad diets and no exercise? I mean, that is stress in a way because we're stressing about how we look. I mean, not me personally
Well, and
ever,
and the
but I
food
mean,
itself puts a stress on your system. Depends what kind of food you put in you. You don't put
exactly. I
diesel
mean,
in your gasoline engine car, or you don't put gasoline in your Tesla. I mean, everything has to have its own fuel. We have to have the right fuel. And of
makes sense.
course,
Really,
you have to have the right air, the right water. Everything has to be perfect. And the biggest influence on your energy is in your head, and that has to be definitely right. So the only way to keep your energy in perfect health all the time is to be positive, be happy all the time, and all these factors influence that, obviously, and the people around you and such. So everything is written down. I mean, I systematized all of these before I forget. I have a little book to here.
yes.
Show you. Uh-huh.
There you go. Yep.
And
I-
if some of the explanations are too hard, everything also is followed with these QR codes. Oops, right there. You point your phone on it and it takes you to a video, and you can see the movements. So it's the simplest way to learn energy healing out there.
Well, there you go, folks. And yes, I believe you wrote two books, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, well, I have three. I also have a children's book. I have to show you because I mentioned the kids. One second.
Of course.
So this was written when my daughter was 9 years old, but it's the same story of the 2-year-old working on grandpa. And let's see, we have the little. My daughter was 9 years old when she illustrated this, maybe
Oh,
8,
that's awesome.
and she's a high school art teacher now. But that's
Nice.
how they started, the two of them.
That's incredible. That really is. I mean,
It's a little story that teaches kids how to feel and how to see the energy, and to them it's just a natural thing, and it's written that way, so they pick it up naturally.
I like that. I really like that. And even Shan said, "Lovely, great job." So
Thank you.
I mean, it's truly. I mean, it's brilliant. It really is. I mean, kids do need to learn this stuff. I mean, kids today have such hard lives, and being a kid's nowhere near as easy as it was even 20 years ago when I was a kid, for God's sake. So
Big
actually,
difference.
oh, okay, 30 years ago, even when I was a kid. But I mean, still, I mean, it's not easy anymore, and it's just they need things like this to teach them these simple truths of life that could be really helping them. But
Absolutely.
well,
And for adults who have a little bit harder time perceiving these things, I have a whole online course with 7 videos. My cousin was here stuck during COVID, from Budapest, and he was a filmmaker. So we put together everything. We utilize that free time, and now everybody can learn it. It has special effects, so you actually see what you're supposed to feel and see and such things. So anybody can learn it, and you'll find it all on my website. I'm sure you'll have something
Well, actually,
about it, right?
and yes, your website will of course be in the
Mhm.
description of this podcast when it comes out, so that everybody can click and go. But Shannon brings up a good question, and I promise after this we'll be done. But what if people? Because not everybody in the world is good at heart.
Right.
Not everybody. Can people use this ability for bad things? I mean, I never really thought of it, but couldn't they? Like, if you can use energy to heal, can't you use energy to cause pain?
I never thought of it. I mean, you could, and if you don't learn it the right way, you could cause some pain. You can cause some pain to yourself. At the beginning, when I started, nobody taught me. I mean, I would stop somebody's headache, and I my hand would hurt, and
Hmm.
so I learned to shake this excess energy off. It's actually that easy. You know, you think of this energy as jello around you. Too much jello means pain, and you grab it and you shake off that jello. But just like you can't empty a jar of jello with one hand, with just one handful, you have to keep taking it. It sticks to your hands and then you shake it off again. Now, it's easier to work on others, somebody else's headache than your own because there's a difference in potential between the two people. But you can also stop your own. It's not a big science, really.
And apparently Shannon meant like boundaries for children, but I mean, Shannon at that point, like it's what are you
For
teaching your?
children, no, they can't use it for anything. I mean, this is all a positive, natural thing.
And I mean, yeah, I mean, children are not gonna have the mindset and the ability to use it for bad, really. I'm pretty sure if they even tried, it would just stop working in a way.
Now, I like when they learn to do it and they do it on each other. Like when the little sister falls down and the big sister comes and stops the pain. That's I mean, that's the biggest achievement of my life, you know.
Exactly. I mean, it's natural. It's meant to happen. And Shannon, I don't think children are good at heart 99.9% of the time. I mean, if you've seen the movie Bad Seed, like I'm watching right now for coming up serial killer movies bracket on this show, but I mean, if you see movies like that, then yeah, there's some children that are just horrible at heart. But I mean, that's rare. I mean, I have kids. They never
No,
are
nobody
only.
nobody was born to be a gangster or a killer or it's all we're the ones who educate them and we put them on a path, our
It's yeah.
responsibility.
I mean, in the whole nature versus nurture argument, I've always gone more towards it's nurture that makes people become what they are. It's not nature. I mean, maybe there was a couple serial killers out there that were meant to be serial killers. I can't explain. I'm not a psychology major, so I can't explain everything serial killers do. So, I mean, maybe there are a couple of them out there that were just meant to be bad from birth. I don't know, but it's not my place to decide this, so I don't have to. Yay! But I mean, I don't know. It is what it is at this point. And children are mostly meant to be good. So if they're using this, they're going to use it for good most of the time. They're not going to sit there and try to use it for bad. 99.9% of the time. I mean, I'm not responsible for the 0.01% of that things that happen in this
Right.
world. But Changara, where can they find you? Where can they find everything you do? Feel free to promote yourself to the fullest.
It's just chongordaniel.com, Csongor. Think about that. Daniel.com. Everything is connected there. Um, I have the school is separate, but the links are there. I also have been doing, gee, for the last 10, 15 years, or ever since Facebook has been around, I have been doing long distance healing and group healing meditations. So every Tuesday and Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, you can join me for about 15, 20 minutes. Kick back, relax, meditate. All you have to do is think about me just for a moment, but that's where everybody's connecting. Sometimes a few hundred people do it at the same time. It's an amazing experience.
Sounds truly incredible. It really does.
You'll find those links as well, and you can read about it. So find out the little details how to do it and how to reap the benefits.
Well, there you go, folks. That's where you can find Chongor. And of course, like I said, his website will be listed in the podcast description. So feel free to check it out. And I hope you do, because it sounds like he's a lot to offer you. But of course, you could always find me, if you don't know by now, 200 and something episodes in. Shame, 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 shame. But the outro is always there. Check it. Everywhere you can find me is in it. And be sure to check out upcoming episodes of Paranormal Normal. Got 3 interviews this week. It's a busy week, so actually, take that back. 5 interviews this week because I got 2 on Saturday. So busy week for me. So come check them
Excellent.
out. Yeah, I got some life stuff going on, and I'm going to be trying to take a couple months break towards the end of the year. So, come check it out, folks. And I want to thank Csongor for coming on because it's been an amazing freaking episode, and the hour and 12 minutes flew the hell by. So, come check it out. Check out all
Thank
the
you
stuff
for
coming up,
having
folks, as
me.
well. And please check out Csongor where you can on his website and everywhere else you can find his information, and check out his books. I mean, I definitely might be buying the kids one for my kids. So it'd be nice if they did something productive in this world. But come back next time and see what's coming up next. Have a good night, everybody.